This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Clark Parker with Myrtle Beach CPAs, proudly serving the area for over 40 years.
Two little leprechauns here at the International Culinary Institute of Myrtle Beach, ready to make Irish soda bread for you because this is the month of St. Paddy's Day, March 17th. Are you Irish?
I'm not Irish, but I love cooking Irish, and I like drinking Irish.
Oh, yes, I bet you do.
A little bit of Irish cream and some of my desserts here, and then every once in a while a nice cold beer. I think is a stout, an Irish stout, is good with chocolate. And you know me and chocolate, so.
Geoff, of course, is head of pastry cooking and chocolate and everything sweet at the International Culinary Institute, and he is going to make Irish soda bread, so get your pencils ready. But Geoff, I know that you're kind of winding down your very first class ever. They're going to be graduating.
It's our first group. They're going to be graduating here real soon. May, we will have South Carolina Technical College's first ever associate's degree in baking and pastry arts statewide will be graduating right here at HGTC.
I know,
and we're
you're
extremely proud.
You should be.
Are.
We'll talk about some of the upcoming classes and some of the camps for kids this summer, but let's get into the Irish soda bread. What makes it Irish? Is this truly something that started in Ireland?
It's actually one of the first leavened breads. So it's got a lot of steep history. One of the first things is the oats and the grains and, of course, the dried fruits, in this case, a dried currant.
So it's good for us.
It's good for us. It's got a lot of healthy things. Buttermilk was something that was very popular then. It had acid, so that buttermilk was actually it wasn't even considered buttermilk. It was their milk. So it was much thicker. It had a kind of a sour flavor. You have to think about refrigeration in those things back in those days. Potatoes and root cellars, and how did you keep things? Dried fruits. Breads were usually kind of firm. I think a lot of people recognize an Irish soda bread as something a little firm, like a scone. It was definitely part of the culture and the history at that time.
I'm feeling very Irish, even though I do have quite a bit of Irish heritage. Been to Ireland, as a matter of fact, and kissed the Blarney Stone, as you would imagine, yes. So let's get on with the recipe.
So we have some of our oats here. We're going to go ahead and take those oats, and we're going to, and this is very, very important, you want to actually take a portion of the buttermilk and put that over those oats, and you want them to soak, because here's the deal. These oats are dry, as they should be, but you want them to soak up some of the moisture and liquid and actually make this a little bit more of like a porridge style. So we actually have one that we've soaked here for about 10 minutes. If you want to set that to the side, and you can see it's kind of like a paste. And to me, this means that this grain has absorbed all the moisture that it's going to absorb. So now when you make the actual bread itself, the oats aren't going to absorb moisture and steal it away from actually hydrating the flour.
I see. Let me ask you a question about the oats. If you were making this at home, would you use quick oats or regular oats?
I use the quick oats.
Got it.
Yeah, the quick oats work just fine. Steel oats, they are quicker. Steel oats, you're going to have to soak a little bit longer, but you can use the steel oats as well. They're actually kind of hard to find, although I'm starting to find some of the natural food stores are starting to sell this. It just takes a lot longer to cook. Okay. So our next thing is we're going to take the other quarter cup of buttermilk and our 1 egg that we have here, and we're going to whisk that together and make kind of our liquid part. And after that's whisked together, that's going to be kind of our binding agent for the actual recipe itself. And then I have some dry ingredients over here. If you could, we've got 3 cups of just an all-purpose flour.
Already measured out?
Already measured out.
Here?
It's ready to go. Just pour that into the bowl. We then have some baking soda, and here's the deal with the baking soda. If you've got something with buttermilk in it and it's a quick bread, baking soda is probably going to be the one item that you're going to want. So we're going to put that in there. We've got some salt there. And then here's that option. You can use brown sugar or you can use white sugar. I like the brown sugar because it gives you a little bit of a smoky flavor that's typically not found. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is sugar back in that day was not white, granulated, clean sugar. It was probably sugar in the raw, what we know of. So, of course, some of that smokiness was probably naturally there. So we're going to take that and we're going to put that in there. And then we've got some wonderful Irish butter. from the store here. And we're going to take this butter.
There is a difference.
There is a difference. And we've just kind of diced it up a little bit. We're going to put this into our dry ingredients. And with gloved hands, for me, you can use one of those nice little biscuit cutters. But the phrase on the recipe that we've got for them online is the fact that you can actually cut it in. Now, my grandmother used to use 2 forks. My other grandmother said that I had 2 hands given by God, so I might as well use both. So you can actually just take those and cut that in, so you end up with some of that flake. Luckily, I had both grandmothers in my life growing up, and both of them loved to make biscuits and mac and cheese from scratch when I was a kid. So we spent a lot of time in the kitchens, and that was one of the things they always taught me was just use your hands, get in there, and then what you end up with is you end up with these little pieces. And those little pieces are really, really important to actually getting that the flakes of butter throughout that mixture.
And you can overdo this too.
You can. So you can keep mixing it and eventually it becomes a paste. That's one of the reasons why I don't use a machine. I actually just use my hands. And if that butter seems, and if you have warm hands, just chill the butter down for a little bit in the freezer.
And a warm heart.
And a warm heart, exactly, every time.
Now, Geoff, as you're mixing in the liquid, tell everyone too, because a lot of people don't have buttermilk at home, and there's a secret.
There is a secret.
If you don't have buttermilk,
you can put a splash of either vinegar or lemon juice into your milk. And that will make your buttermilk for
and
you.
that's a good piece of advice for people because
Yes.
very few people keep buttermilk in the house, and if you buy a quart, you're probably never going to use the rest of it.
One of the things, I use the dry milk powder lately. There's a dry milk powder at the stores. And
There's a dry
milk powder.
Buttermilk?
Yeah, dry buttermilk powder.
Wow, I
It's
didn't know
really
that.
cool. It's very easy to work with. You just dump it right into the water and then you're ready to go.
Yet this is more nutritious.
Oh, it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. So now we've got our paste, and you can see what I mean by that paste now. It literally, it makes such a wonderful feeling. So on the inside of the actual recipe itself, now when you go to bake it, there's these wonderful chunks of oatmeal that are in there that usually a lot of people don't end up with because they don't take the time to soak the oats. And then we have some currants. Now I got some big currants.
Are they like raisins?
Kind of.
More like blueberry.
Kind of like blueberries.
Oh,
It's like a blueberry kind of raisin.
delicious.
Really delicious. I love these. I like to dip them in, like toss them in white chocolate. Make little tiny, like dip white. Yeah, of
Why I
course,
love
of
this
course.
man. He's a chocolatier.
So we're going to take all this together and with gloved hands, because when we're all done, it makes a big mess. And you basically bring it together. And as you bring this together, you don't need to stir. You just kind of want to have a kneading action. And one recipe makes one 10-inch round. So it's really easy to mix up. You can do it right before dinner service. If you don't want the currants, you can do raisins, although the people will tell you raisins are not traditional, the currants are. But you can also venture out there and maybe put a zest of orange and put some craisins in. So now you have something, you don't just have to wait for Irish soda bread around March. You could do it during the holiday season and put cranberry and orange in there.
Oh, that's
and make
a
for a
great
really
idea.
nice, really nice recipe.
How long does this bake, Geoff?
So it bakes for about 30 minutes.
At 350?
At 350. So once we get this all mixed, we're going to bring this into a ball.
And as you're balling it, I know that there are tons of people lined up here every Thursday for bread because the International Culinary Institute has their very own incredibly successful farmers market.
Yes, and the bread that we serve here is absolutely amazing weekly. Like, we go through a lot of bread, and it's amazing to see the amount of customers that come through the door for the bread that we sell out front. It truly is amazing to see all the response that we have.
But then you
here.
also have the best of the best in the way of the farmers with
We do.
tomatoes and
We do.
lettuces and herbs and all
You
kinds of
get
things.
some wonderful beef. You get some wonderful pork. You get some wonderful cheese.
Butter.
which we'll be having here in just a moment.
I'm a butter freak.
You're going to take this knife. You're going to go about a 1/2 inch deep through the middle. 1/2 inch through. That's quite a bit. And then I usually, in this case, I don't sprinkle it with sugar. I think it's sweet enough. Some people say sanding sugar works really, really well. But after we take this, we're going to put this in the oven for, like I said, about 20 minutes max. You want it to spring back to the touch. We've got one here,
20 to 30 minutes, right?
20 to 30. Some ovens go a little bit faster. If you have that convection setting at home, it goes a little bit faster.
Smells great.
Nice and hot. We'll get that onto the marble slab there. We'll put this back here because I have something wonderful that I know you love.
Oh, yes.
Some of our farm's butter from
Yes.
here at the farmer's market. And you'll notice that this can literally just,
Because you've cut it like that?
yeah, it's ready to go.
So does that mean like one chunk for you and one chunk for me, or one
I
fourth
want to
for
say
you?
it was 1/4 per dinner
Oh, I like that.
for the family. And so they would literally, because that's a pretty big piece. Now,
Oh, yeah.
you'll notice the color.
But you never see really skinny Irish people
No, not at all.
with the potatoes and the bread. You know.
Exactly. But you can see it's got a nice crust on it. You can snap that apart.
Nice. Oh, that's nice. Well, while we're eating some bread,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us about some of the things coming up? I know last year you had a super summer camp for kids.
We did. We have a teen camp, so we have 2 weeks of baking. We have an intermediate and we have an advanced week. We also have 2 weeks of culinary this week. We have an intermediate and an advanced for the culinary camp as well. So you have savory and you have baking and pastry. You've also got some other kids classes on weekends, 2 and 3 hour classes. And then of course we have our ever popular boot camp for adults this summer as well. We've got some boot camps for Friday night so people can come in and learn a little bit about baking or cooking, either or.
What about people, and watch this, I've got to pile some butter on.
Yeah.
What about people who maybe want to take a whole new career course? Would that be starting in September?
So with our new fall start, usually late August, early September, they have a wonderful new program, Baking and Pastry Arts and the Culinary Arts program. And of course, age doesn't matter. You just have to have the love and passion to come into the kitchen and actually work hard.
Jeff,
Is that good?
in wrapping up, what are you going to be making on your St. Patrick's Day table while I continue to eat?
I'm probably going to be doing a wonderful stout beer and milk chocolate bonbon.
Ooh!
And then, of course, we'll probably do your typical corned beef and cabbage. I like the corned beef and cabbage.
This bread is
But
great.
the bread goes nicely with it.
Absolutely wonderful. Please come on out here. It's hard to talk and eat at the same time. On Thursdays, International Culinary Institute and the Farmers Market's 1 to 6.
1 to 6. Barbecue as long as it lasts. Usually comes out around 2 o'clock. We've got barbecue as well.
Wow.
And then the bread. Kind of jockey for position for the bread about 1 o'clock. So.
I'm going to jockey you for position right here. Watch this. This is mine.
She's got it all done.
This is mine. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Erin
too.
Go Bra, everyone. March 17th, St. Patty's Day. Celebrate.